So anyway, you must understand that they journeyed from the east, which means they left that light of knowledge where it began. And then it says at 3, and they said one to another, go to, let us make brick and burn them thoroughly. And they had brick for stone and slime they had for mortar. Okay, so this looks like the beginning of a construction. Now you must understand also that brick is not wood. Brick is not malleable in the sense that plastic is, or rubber is, or clay is after it has hardened. Brick is something that represents stability. When you build a foundation from brick, it has a likelihood of staying in place. When you build a foundation of some other substance that is not as sturdy as brick, the chances are that it can be swayed. The foundation may not be as supportive as something more stable. So we move down to 11:4. It says, and they said, go to, let us build us a city and a tower whose top may reach unto heaven. Now, what I want you to specifically look at here is, let us build us a city and a tower whose top may reach unto heaven. I had this image that there was this huge vertical tower that reaches up into heaven, because I used to believe heaven was an actual place. And like the top tried to reach into heaven. This tower, you have to imagine, in ancient times, if you were a people that traveled a land and you saw huge monuments that you had not yet seen, you are going to be astounded. You're going to be amazed. You may also be envious. See, and those towers would probably go without saying right now. But if you haven't figured out where those towers are, or this tower is, I'll give you 3 clues. Those towers called the Maru, or what has since been Europeanized into the pyramids. And to someone looking at these towers, they look like they reach into heaven because they had never seen something like this before. So we'll move down to 5. It says, and the Lord came down to see the city and the tower which the children of men builded. Now, why does it say the children of men? Why? I thought we were all children of God, children of the Lord. Well, these particular builders of this tower, or these 3 towers, obviously are not considered children of the Lord. They're considered children of men. Now, in the English version here, it says Lord. In Hebrew, it says Yahweh, or as you want to call Yahweh, or if you recall from lesson 202, I say Yewah, or Jew. So if we take that into context, it would say, and the Jew came down to see the city. Well, came down from where? Obviously, it didn't talk about coming down from heaven. See, they want you to think that whatever came down came from heaven. No, they traveled southward from where they came originally in Europe, which could be Russia or wherever you want it to be. But when they came down southward and they saw these things, they may have become envious. They may have become curious. They may have wanted the knowledge that built these great monuments. So it was no Lord that came down from a heaven. It represents a people, Jew in my analysis, that came down southward and saw these lands built by the children of men, which was Afurakah to them. So at 6, it says, and the Lord said, behold, the people is one, and they have all one language. And this they begin to do, and now nothing will be restrained from them which they have imagined to do. Now again, like me, if you were mistaught this book, you're thinking that God allowed them to do these things because God gives you a choice. If you believe in God, then you are with God. If you go against God, then you are not with God. Plain and simple. Okay, we're going to get into this a couple of steps further than that, because that, again, is the literal level that I'm trying to get you all out of. So when it says, and the Lord, again, this is YHVH, Yahweh, Yahweh, or my analysis, Yahweh, or the Jew. So it says, and the Jew said, behold, the people is one. Obviously, all of the Afurakanu, Afuraitkitnut were one. Now, this also must be understood. There was no such thing as a Middle East. There was no such thing as, Iraq and Iran and Saudi Arabia, all of these places being in what you call the Middle East. These were all lands of Afuraka, as was Sind or India. See, these lands were actually an annex of Kemet or ancient Egypt. So, keeping that in mind, the people obviously is one. That means all of the Afurakanu, Afuraitkitnut were one. The Kemetanu, the Tana-Isian, or the Nubian, you want to call it the Canaanites, but the people of Canaan, all one people. They were all black, Afurakan. So when it says they all have one language, again, language is not something that we speak. Just because I speak English and you hear English and you understand English doesn't mean English is the language. I'm not speaking about that misunderstanding of language. When it says they all have one language, that means they all have one understanding, an understanding of self, an understanding of the land, of the cosmos, of the wisdom. Whatever it is, they all had the understanding. They understood their purpose, or overstood, I should say, their purpose for everything. And these foreigners did not understand this. They didn't even understand it. So to them, it was completely alien. So what should they do about this? When they said that, and this they began to do, and now nothing will be restrained from them, which they have imagined to do. It's not talking about the Lord giving permission for anybody to do anything. It's talking about these people that built these great towers that reached the heaven, Maru, pyramid, as you want to say, black, Afurakanu, Afuraitkitnut. These people, they could do anything they wanted because they had wisdom superior to anyone ever seen on this earth. A complete oneness and harmony with the earth mother and the cosmos. They understood these things. Diet, birth. They had knowledge that nobody else in the world really had a grasp on at that point. So that is why even the foreigners that came down, Yahweh, the Jew, said that the people is one and they all have one language, and that nothing will be restrained from them to do which they imagine to do. So then we go to 7. Go to, now listen to this. Let us go down and there confound their language, and that they may not understand one another's speech. And I will continue. So the Lord scattered them abroad from thence upon the face of all the earth, and they left off to build the city. Now we have a mixture here. See, from this point on out in the passage, the message is not speaking directly and specifically about the Kemet Anu. Now, the people that built the towers, the Kemet Anu, the Afurakan, are used as a metaphor from this point on. Do you get that? It started off using them as the subject, but it finished off using them as a metaphor for something else. And I'll explain that throughout this lesson. So when it says, go to, let us go down, this reminds me of Genesis chapter 1, verse 26 and verse 27. When it says, and God said, let us make man in our image and after our likeness. And then at 27, it says, so God made man in his image. There's a definite shift from plural us to singular the Lord. So if you look at this again, YHVH, Yahweh, Yahweh, my analysis, Yahweh, the Jew. First, they had to congregate amongst each other and concoct an idea that would do what? Confound the language of the people that had these temples, the Maru, as you call pyramids. They had to confound not their speech first, they had to confound their understanding, which is their language.